Alright, let's check how the audio balance is. It's quite possible that the music is way too quiet or way too loud. So, maybe I'll just open up my own stream. Yeah. Which... Let's see. Which... Well, that seems fine. Well, let me know if I'm too quiet or if the music's too quiet or anything. Otherwise, I will leave it like this. And we can turn off the slideshow, turn off the overlay, and we can get started. So basically the plan today is that I have some scenarios. This one is called Texas Gold Mine. And I'm going to design map scripts that look like these scenarios. Yeah, this one was called Texas Gold Mine right now. And I already started a bit on a map script for it. So let's just take a look at the map for now. So we have basically it's Gold Rush, but we have gold and stone in the middle. Looks like some mud there with cracked terrain around it. Then we have dirt grass. We have reeds and baobab forest on the outside. I need to note these, like I didn't see them before. Definitely need to make sure to put those in as well. And some cliffs and stuff. And we'll deal with resources later. So, let's show what I already have at the moment. And that is this, which is not quite what we were going for yet, but let's take a look. So, that's Canberra that we're looking at. That's no good. Let's... Texas Gold... No, it is Texas Gold Mine. Let me drag this window a bit further over, maybe. Not this one. This one. Yeah, let's go... Don't want to intrude too much. I think that's fine. It's not really possible. I mean, that's what the special maps do. Like if you play on like whatever the snake map, for example, those are, or the real world maps, those are a scenario combined with a random map script, but you can't really do custom versions of that in DE, unfortunately. You either have to do a scenario or a random map script. But we can make a random map that looks like that scenario that we just saw. So if we start out what I did here, sure, I said random placement. I said behavior version, that's all fine. And then the idea is, we can just go through quickly. We start by covering the whole map in ice. There we go. And then we need to place our lands. So the player lands, I made them as dirt 2 because that was the terrain that the players had on it in our template scenario. There we have dirt 2 everywhere. And I have this ice on the outside. That's where we're going to put these baobab forests on the outside. And then the other thing I did was create sort of the central land. There we go. That's what I made so far. And we're going to need some hills. Let's take a look again at our template there. So we have definitely some hills in the central part, and then we have some smaller ones like in the dirt terrain area, I'd say, but the hills go up to a height of 3, I'd see here. Fair number of hills in the middle, a couple on the outside. Let's see what we can do to make it look like that. Yeah. Alright. So we're going to need to activate the elevation generation section. We can also keep the cliff type in already as well. So we'll want create elevation. And And let's copy it from some existing map that I have. That's connections, that's trains, there we go. Should do that. So we don't have desert, we have DLC cracked. And 45 clumps sounds like way too many. We want like 15 clumps maybe? And we said 3, so let's just do this and see what happens. Okay, that creates a massive hill. That is way too many tiles. We just chop off a 0 off of the end of all of these. That's a bit small at this point. So we're doing a tiny map. Let's say 500. We'll deal with all these sizes afterwards. That's more in line of what the original map looks like. Let's make it fewer clumps, like 9. There we go. Let's make it even fewer. Let's make it like 3 clumps. Because this will add, set scale by groups will increase the number of clumps anyway. That gives us one big one-ish. Yeah, that's more what I'm looking at. Let's like 5 maybe, and we'll do 900 tiles. Yeah, something like that. Now we're getting there. Maybe 1,000 tiles. That'll be nice and easy to scale up. Okay. We do have balanced elevation. That's one big clump. We don't really want that. I guess there's the issue with the center of the land too, right? That it's... Well, no, it's not a player land. It should be fine, right? Alright, let's just do this again. If I add a bunch of zeros, then it will always do the whole area, yeah. Okay. So I think 1,000 tiles is... It's a bit too high. We were somewhere we had the sweet spot. I might have to make this whole central thing a bit clumpier. Like make this a bit bulkier, this middle part. Okay, I do actually want a bigger spread of hills. This is a lot of fine-tuning. How often will I stream? When I feel like I don't have time, honestly. I don't stream regularly, I stream occasionally. However, I do have 3 maps, or even 4, I think, that I want to... what I've been asked to make, let's say. So, the one that we were just doing, then we have this one here. So that could, I could do one of these, one stream for each of them, for example. This is sort of an islands map, but we have some connections and stuff. That could be interesting to make. Then... this one. And this one is interesting as well. Sort of, each player has their walled off area. There's a lot of water to fight for, and there's sort of this area with a lot of shore fish in the middle. I don't know. It's a lot of contesting the middle on this map, I'd say. And then there's one more that I haven't actually had the chance to look at yet. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, that looks like Arabia. I need to check. Oh, I was supposed to do something. You could do something special, or you could train stuff from these huts, or do something special with the huts. I believe... I have to check there what the instructions were. But we can probably do that too. Not all today, though. So let's get back to our Texas gold mine that we were working on. We also wanted some hills on the outside, didn't we? Are we fine with the 800 here? I don't know. Let's cut it down again. Yeah, that's probably more like what we want. And we want a few hills on the outside. Here it's dirt too. We'll just do the same number of things, right? Try that. So we have a few just smaller hills on the outside. Yeah, that's the look we're going for. Then we get to do a bit of math here. Calc. So I have a scaling table in my map scripting guide. Ooh, this is a good chance too. I can test if the command that I set up. Let's see if it works. .rmsg. Yay, it works. Good stuff. Good stuff. Map sizes. Tiny map. So essentially, how many tiles did we have? We had 600. So we do 600. And that's already times 1.4. How do we best do this? 600 divided by 1.4 is 428. So that's basically our base. And then we say 428 times 2.1. 898, so 899. We can just do a solid 900 for that. And then a medium map is a scaling factor of 2.8. So we do 428 times 2.8. 1,120. And then we'll do more testing on the other sizes later. 428 times, what's the next size up, is 4.0, okay. 1,712. There we go. Hello. 1,712. Then a huge map is 4.8. So 428 times 4.8. By the way, if anyone recognizes what the music is from, you can let me know. I picked out a new set of soundtracks that I believe won't get muted in the VOD later on. 2.54. Okay. Now we need to do 428 times 5.8. That's 2,482. We can quickly test all the sizes then once we're done with this. And now Ludicrous is 23 times the multiplier, so 428 times 23. 9844. It's not even certain that, you know, just scaling it up like this is the most sensible way to do it, but it's mainly going to be played in 1v1 anyway, so good enough. If I now do, yeah. That's a bit small at that point, but overall, this all looks acceptable, I'd say, from the hill distribution. Ludicrous, of course, takes a while to generate. Yeah. Yeah, Hyperandom. There's some work we can do on Hyperandom too. Not today, but I have plans for the next set of updates for that. We'll add a couple new cool things. Perhaps if I get around to it. I'm starting to implement it, but having like a tiniest Hyperandom. But I'm trying to support all the different possible like dimensions that you can now have a map in, from 36 by 36 all the way up. So that could be fun. Alright, I'd say we're done with elevation. The cliffs look good. Now we can just uncomment this. So basically, the reason I had the ice was so that I could make the Dragon Forest appear only on the outside. And then I believe there was some reed forest that was on the inside, so we'll need to create that. Oh, I have something that says here, if tiny map spacing to the terrain size times 8. Dragon Forest on the ice. Huh. Well, that suggests that I should check other map sizes. Let's do that. I see. We're gonna need to do an else if. Do all the map sizes here as well. Why is it so much more? Oh, I wanted it to. What am I doing here? I need to do this to see that see what's going on here. Let me just make sure that you guys can see. Yeah, okay, that looks fine. Yeah, the marsh maps are perhaps a bit too common, honestly, on that. But I don't know, they're fun occasionally. Oh, this is just to get it in the corners. That's why I have this code. Right. Now I remember what I was doing here. So I need to make the spacing a bit bigger, such that the forest is not along the edge and only in the corners for each size. Because there's forest in the corners on the example map, so we're trying to achieve that for all the possible sizes here as well. And we're saying it needs to be spaced from the other terrains, so the corners are a bit further away than everything along the edges. Medium map. Presumably we need at least like 11. Presumably we need 12. There we go. Do it. Corners look good. Next up. Else if. Large map. This is a bit of menial work, menial tile. Once we do it, we can get to the more fun stuff. Okay, we need, I think, 2 more tiles. Maybe 1 tile will do it. Let's try 14. Oh, 15. Yeah. Good. So this is just a command to get forest in the corners. Huge map. Presumably we need like 17 at least. Do we think 16 would work? Presumably not. Did I save changes? I did. Ah, but I checked. Alright, now we need gigantic. We'll up the size by 1 again, at least. And then we get to do some fun guesstimating with Ludicrous. Okay, so I do want it to support all the sizes. Ludicrous. That's not... let's just say 25 as a start and see how that goes. Alright, we need like 8 more. Let's do 33. Be closer to what we want. Alright, we need 4 more. Got it. Now I've got forest in the corners, not along the edges. Perfect. Then we can uncomment this and... Okay. Well, we're not going to worry about Ludicrous that much. Back to Tiny. Now we need our reed forest. No, I said copy. And the reed, we need the terrain spreadsheet. I wonder if I can probably actually show this on OBS even, briefly. Bam. There we go. So the terrain that we're going to want is Forest Reeds 92. Let's define it at the top. Well, we could define it anyway, but let's read forest 92. Great terrain, read forest. We're gonna want it on dirt too. Spacing, sure. Try that. Alright, back to our map. Okay. That may be a bit much in terms of the reed forests. They were a bit spotty on the example map. Perhaps I need a like 1% less. Start by doing that. Yeah, that's more in line. And then if we recall our scenario that we had as an example. Hello. In this example scenario, the reeds were they were smaller clumps and they were interrupted by... Some of them are on forest terrain, some of them are not. I don't care about that. They were definitely smaller clumps overall, with some holes in them, so we want to achieve that same effect. It is! Yeah, that's still based on AOE2.net. I should get rid of those commands, I think, because that site has been down for a while. You can't call ranks there, as far as I know. So to make the reed forest spotty, we're just going to create dirt 2 on the reed forest. And we don't care about spacing. And we only want like 1% of it with, 999 clumps. So I'm working on a couple scenarios that people have sent me to make maps based on those scenarios. AOE2 Companion, I'll have to look into that. I mean, that being said, I'm currently unranked because I haven't played a ranked match this year. Last time I did was in the fall. So, it might still return something. Okay, that's a bit spotty. I kind of want it more spotty. We can just create leaves. So let's say 2%. Well, that'll be cool to see what it looks like at the end of Jupiter map. Okay. Okay, that's kind of the look that the forests had in our example. We'll load this example again. Yeah. That's the reed forests. They weren't placed as forests, but basically placed as trees, but that's kind of the look we're going for. Now I need to get rid of the ice, and then we need to put this dirt in the middle and stuff like that. Then we're getting there actually pretty quickly already. I think the ice has outlived its usefulness at this point. So create terrain, dirt, base terrain, ice, 9% to 100, 9,320, and then see how much ice we have left after we've done that. A little bit. We will deal with that ice with a connection generation section, I'd say. This is a nice trick here. Connection generation. Create, connect all lands. Replace terrain ice with... Oh, do we actually want dirt on the outside? We don't want dirt too. We do want dirt 2 here, yeah. Ice with dirt 2. Terrain size dirt 2. 512 should do. There we go. Oh, there are only a few lands here. I'll be interested in seeing that Jupiter map. Now, when connections are useful because you can cover the entire map with a replacement if that's what you need. Except it didn't actually do it. Also, I'm noticing like some weird lines here. I'm wondering if that's an issue with my terrain mod or if that's just because dirt shouldn't be used so extensively on the map. We have ice here. Replace terrain ice with dirt 2, terrain size dirt 2. This should do it though, honestly. Yeah, there we go. I guess I just wasn't quite big enough. There we go. Okay, now the middle was sort of a mud terrain, so we can do that. Create terrain mud. Mud is not defined, is it? Really not. Let's grab our mud. Dirt mud is 76. Cool. It's dirt mud. Well, we'll call it dirt mud. DLC cracked. Perfect. We really only need one clump, honestly, but just in case it goes wrong, let's do that instead. Spacing to other terrain types, like 10, probably. And we'll do a terrain mask as well. Though it isn't in the official in the other map, but probably we want a terrain mask for this. Try that. Okay, let's try that. Okay, well that is underwhelming because it's small. Let's try the other terrain mask. Alright, let's not do a terrain mask. And 7. Okay, that's kind of the idea. We could have a terrain mask on the border and then have the rest of it not be masked. It looks pretty good, except sometimes the middle land is a bit too snaky. So let's make it bulky. Yeah. Sometimes it's still snaky. I want at least the middle of the land to be bulky. Did I put it at 50-50? I did. Make it fatter. I will if I can find the time. Like, remind me like once it's time that I should do that, and I'll make some sort of space map. I think that would be fun. Okay. Yeah, so now let's make things look a bit nicer, because this is a bit uniform in terrain. So let's do a bit with the masking there. So what we're gonna do is 7. If we did something like this, 6 terrain mask 1. If I do that, basically what I was going for. Perfect. Good stuff. Then the rest of this just looks pretty barren. What we really need, though, to make like crazy space or fantasy maps is stuff like lava terrain. That would be cool to have. So, looking at our example map again, it seems I've basically made everything except the objects. Now I just need to make it look a bit nicer, I'd say. And then place the objects, of course. Oh yay, that bot is working. That's true, that's true. Yeah, that's a bit finicky, of course, but yes. The fog terrain. Alright, I think I just need to do a bit of decorating now to make it nicer than the scenario here. So... there will likely be another DLC soon, right? They just announced like a 25-year event or something. And what was it? I don't remember. What did they say? Open the link. Here. We can actually, let's do a brief distraction to look at that. We can hide Notepad while I do this. Boop. It's a new year, blah blah blah. We've got a lot lined up, sure. Lengthy post, blah blah. Live stream on the 23rd. Okay, that's quite a while away. Yep, Age of Mythology Retold, Age of Empires Mobile. But for AoE 2, there's going to be a campaign-focused expansion. So presumably that will either add more co-op campaigns, or it will add campaigns for all these civilizations that don't currently have one. Exclusive gameplay. Maybe more co-op, although that's not exclusive, but... Alright, they're adding new DLC, and I guess the base game is free to play these days. I haven't played AoE 3 in a while, I've got to say. They are sharing updates. Okay. And they're doing the mobile, and they're doing mythology. Blah blah, okay. Not actually that much information. Okay, back to our mapping project. So I think one of my tasks needs to be to deal with the fact that the outside here looks ugly. So what have we got in the way of terrains? We could add Dirt 3. We could definitely mix in some Dirt 3. I think that would look fine. Alright, let's add a little subheader, cosmetic terrain mixing. And the amount, well, roughly did what we did here for Dragon Forest, that'll do. Great terrain, Dirt 3. Base terrain, Dirt 2. Like, Dirt 2 just doesn't look good in that big amounts. We don't care about spacing. We don't care about spacing. Scale by groups, sure, and we can do terrain mask 1 for now. Let me check what mask 1 and 2 to make sure I got them the right way around. Terrain generation, terrain mask. And I also have not been hiding. I did unhide Notepad. There you go again. So, Numa inherits properties. So I want to do terrain mask 1 basically. For this stuff. That makes sense. Yep. There we go. Alright, let's go. Okay, that is quite subtle. But sure. We can probably also just say Dirt 4. We can add some DLC dry grass. That's another one that looks good and is relatively subtle. Yeah. Let's also add some grass 3. Still not really liking the vast abundance of this Dirt 2 terrain. Maybe we don't make that the base terrain. Like, I don't like the fact that you can see these lines here. Or we just really pump up the number of things that I'm putting here as decoration. No, what else could we did dry grass? Wait, we did dry grass? Oh, I messed this one up anyway, didn't I? Definitely messed that one up. Dirt 2. I could place the reeds as objects. I would rather they're placed as forests, though. I guess once we put the players in, it won't look as empty anymore. Just right now, it just looks a bit empty still. Okay, let's not put in the grass, but what else could I put in? Like leaves, maybe? Or dirt 2? Dirt 1? I could put in some leaves. That looks alright. That breaks up the monotony some more. And let's add some dirt as well, for good measure. Hope I messed this up again. Dirt. Yeah, at this point that's looking not great, but better. I think that I'm actually alright with how the reeds look. I could make them more holy, but more fragmented, but overall I think I'm fine with the way the reeds look. Let's put in the players, and then we can adjust more things afterwards. Give me like a, not a connection generation, objects generation section. There we go. Let's take a more recent map that I made as the basis for all this. Actually, what do I still have open in here? Marsh Madness, Arabia. Oh my goodness, I have a lot of maps open. Kraken, definitely not. I guess we could use PAG. Let's look at the... Sure, why not? Let's use this. It's probably fine. Yeah, we want to see where the players are. Take the scout, we'll take regicide support as well. I need something, a really typical map like Docklands. Subscribed will do. Come on, please open. I mean, I could just open this folder actually. Sort by name. Actually, what have I modified recently? Snow Arabia? No, definitely not. Do I have my VN maps here available? I want something that has relatively standard resources. Yeah, this will do. Alright. Check what I have here. Yeah, because I want the castle for Regicide and stuff like that. Town center, that's fine. Scout is fine. King is fine. Let's place the castles. Closest to map. If it's Regicide. Now. There we go. Ah, of course. That's going to be an issue. Where do I have my reads? Set avoid player start areas. And for good measure, we'll do that on the Dragon Forest as well. Better. That's... yeah. We can work on fairness afterwards. Given how sparse the reads are, I probably don't want them quite so close to players. Yeah, we'll have to think about the wood lines. Like, you end up still with situations like this, right? Well, there's basically nothing here. Okay, there's one over there, but there's a huge hole here. Meanwhile, everything on that side. Okay, if we look here... Okay, so the reads are... We have reads placed as objects. Like here, in this case, we have behind the player, and... Okay, so each player basically got a set of object reads. Fair, and then the rest are kind of neutral. I mean... There's no particular reason why I couldn't give players object reads. Good. Other than that, we have some random neutral ibex gazelles. These look like gazelles to me. Near the cliffs. That can be arranged, probably. We have some scattered berries, and then we have a bunch of golden stone in the middle. That's simple enough. Let's see if we can replicate this object reed forest type of situation. It won't turn up on the mini-map, though. That's a bit... I mean, currently none of the reeds are on the mini-map. I mean, you can place the individual cliff objects, but since you have to get the rotations right and so on, that would be a lot of effort. I mean, I've already... By putting ice at the beginning, by using ice, I've prevented the cliffs from going to the edge of the map, because I have ice at the edge of the map. I did that intentionally. Actually, before we deal with the reed trees, we need to deal with the cliffs. Because my cliff generation is not acceptable. I need a map where I have an example of cliff generation. What am I going to use for that? Hyper random. With no match case. That'll do. We'll just copy all of this and then do what we need to. Yeah. We don't need to keep the comments in. Curliness, we probably want like 66. We can just use the default. In terrain distance to stay away from water, we don't need the default. Alright. Well, we have our map sizes. Okay. I have to actually type the map sizes back here because I haven't defined the custom sizes here. Go. Large map. Huge map. Gigantic map. Ludicrous map. There we go. Let's delete some spaces. So I want to see more cliffs. Alright, we have a few more now after I've done that. Good. Ah, they're avoiding the center. Because they avoid elevation. Right, the cliffs avoid elevation, and there's nothing I can do about that, I believe. Or is it because there's a land there? Let's just... comment that out. Why are the cliffs avoiding... Alright, I need to read up what I wrote about cliffs at the time. Firefox. Notepad. Cliff generation. Yeah. Avoid the origins of all lands by 22 tiles. That is unfortunate because it means we can't put cliffs on the middle. Unless I create the middle without using lands. Which, in my case, I could actually do. That would be possible to do if I went to, I wouldn't be creating this, but I could use the spacing from other train types from the trains on the outside. Right? Could I do that? How am I doing? I'm creating this, and this avoids the outside. So then I just create, like, the crack terrain on the dirt. That would make the map look a lot more regular. It would mean I couldn't concentrate the hills in the center, though. That's an idea. I could consider this about putting cliffs in the center. We'll try that. I'm willing to attempt that. What else do we have in terms of information? They also avoid slopes and will not be placed on water terrains. That's fine. I wanted to keep them from the edge. That's why I did this with the ice. I think that's fine to keep them from the edge, although I don't necessarily need to do that even. Instead of ice, we could use, something else. I could just go... replace ice with snow, replace all. If I do that, then the cliffs can go to the edge of the map. Ooh, sure, we could do that for now. You guys can't see that right now because I haven't hidden Firefox yet. We'll do that in a moment. Alright. I'm gonna train them under themselves. Right, combat bonuses, cliff type. Yeah, good enough. Alright. Let's go. So, yeah. I can make the cliffs go to the edge of the map. I don't think that's desirable. Don't think that's actually desirable. Because then they tend to like going there because they can't go into the middle anyway. I think I don't do that change. I'll bring back the ice. And we have more cliffs sort of closer to the center. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I had originally, and I think that makes more sense. Then the other option that I have available is that I say, alright, I don't create this land here. Then the elevation, we'd probably need to generate twice as much elevation. Alright. We want more elevation in the center though, so basically then I'd just do the same thing twice with Dirt 2. We're using the same code for both of them. We'd have more hills and they're all over the place. Fine, as such. Then I would go... They're still not really in the center, to be honest, though. Yeah, they sometimes are. Then, of course, I'd have to go to terrain and say, before we do anything here, create terrain DLC cracked. Base terrain dirt 2. Then we're going to need a spacing for every map size. I don't think I actually want to take this approach, but I'm willing to run it through and see how it feels. And we want essentially we can put this in. And we want to do set avoid player start areas as well. So I'd be doing something like that. Oh boy. Okay, of course the spacing, and then there's the cliff terrain. Yeah, this all not as easy as you'd want. So, before I did any of that, I'd need one of these 9,320 commands. I'd have to replace the cliff grass. Const cliff terrain. Oh my goodness. Const cliff terrain 16. And then I'd want to replace that, so we go here. Cliff terrain. No, actually we'd create dirt 2. Base terrain, cliff terrain. Do something like that. Now we should see a very different result. Yeah, fine. Okay, this seems to be where the players are located. They're located pretty close to the edge, it seems. If I then did Well, I mean, we want all of this to be, much further the edge. Getting there. That's more the size of a center that I'd want, right? 28, maybe? Okay, we'd have something like that. We could also do 25, and then we'd say, this year also 25. Then we'd have sort of these indentations where the players are. We'll have sort of slight indentations where the players are. And then we uncomment all this shit, and... I mean, it gets us cliffs in the center. At the cost of not being able to specifically place the hills in the center. Like, it's a good exercise in alternative approaches to getting a desired result, but I'm not sure I like it. I would rather... Okay, there is actually another option for getting the cliffs into the center, if I want them only in the center, and that would be to make the whole player lands water, or ice as well at the beginning, and then the cliffs would only be in the middle. That is an option as well. I have an old map where I did something like that. I mean, here... Okay, we sort of have cliffs to the edge of the map. We probably don't want those. Question is, would I rather have the cliffs in the center or along the outside but avoiding the center? Can't have both. Can't have both. We can actually have both. Can. Alright, alright, alright. I've got it. I've got it. So, this new approach that I'm doing here... Just run with it for now. Oh no, we can't have... Oh, can we have 2 cliff generation sections? I don't know. Never tried that. Alright, because if I do, like, min... terrain distance 20 or something. Now comes the big question. I don't think I can have 2 cliff generation sections. Alright, if I did this, the game crashes. Because I'm making too many cliffs. Game is crashing. Game is actually crashing. Because min is exceeding max. Yeah, okay, that was my fault. Sorry. Yeah, the game's crashing. That was my fault. That was a user error. Do I actually have that noted down? I mean, while we're here, do I have it noted down? Otherwise the game will otherwise the game will crash. Might as well note that down. Alright. I'm actually surprised it didn't disable my mods. You're right. Normally when I trigger a crash here, it does do that. It wasn't a crash. It stopped responding, and I Alt F4'd, or I force quit it. So it wasn't a crash as such. It stopped responding, and I shut it down. That's probably why. Okay, we end up with 0 cliffs in that case. Alright. Is it avoiding slopes as well by this amount? There we go. Boom. So, the big question now is if I have a second cliff generation section. I assume this doesn't work, but we can even go as far as to do this. And then this one we have a distance of whatever, 2. Presumably, these values will override the earlier ones. Yeah, I held it forward before it had time to. I assume that's what happened. Let's see if this works. I assume it won't. Yeah, it basically overrides what I had set before. Does it, though? Does it, though? I mean, clearly overrides the cliff type. Fine. If I do this, you have 5 to 11 on the outside, and then a bunch of cliffs on the inside? No. No, that just doesn't work to have 2 cliff generation sections. The second one just overrides the first one. Fine. Damn. Okay. Well, I could do this. And I'll just have them very much in the center. Like, that feels like what the map should be. I mean, maybe I do it. Let's make them a bit less curly as well. They're quite curly. Okay, let's make them 55. Okay, fine. We'll keep it at 66. Right. Something dumb happened here. Namely, elevation cliffs. What happened here? What happened in this seed? Fine so far. I assume not all the cliff terrain actually got replaced. That's what's probably happening here. That's, of course, another risk with doing it this way. Alright, let's time to do the time-old trick of copy and paste something a couple times. Like 10 times should probably do. There we go. Fixed it! Too bad, like, when you say 100%, it doesn't actually do 100%. And I suppose there's the question of, do we really want quite this many cliffs in the center? I think cliffs in the center make sense. They also shouldn't be too dense, and we can have a couple that are somewhat on the outside, I'd say. And then we're going to have to do a lot of scaling things by map size now that we switched around the tactics a bit. So, alright, min distance cliffs. Cliffs. Let's check what the default of that is. Number of cliffs, cliff type, cliff curliness, min distance cliffs. Default is 2. So if I do like 4, then I can essentially just have an excess of cliffs, right? Nope, not that. I just have a couple there. And we allow them a bit further out, I'd say, as well. This terrain distance will then need to be scaled by the map size. So 7, we'll say 5? That gives us some cliffs that are kind of on the outside. I don't want this because this is going to lead to trapped. Although let's make them avoid the cliffs. And no, they are too curly after all. We're going back to 50% curliness. Yeah, 50% curliness is better. Yeah, my original idea was to have a second cliff generation section and then use that to more densely place cliffs in the center. And my only concern now is that I can't guarantee that there's actually a nice hill in the center at this point. Is there a clever way I can do that while keeping the hills, the cliffs in the middle? I don't think there is. That's a bit the issue here, right? I mean, I can just put more elevation on the map. You know, we just say, alright, clearly there's not enough elevation. Well, can I restrict it? If I restrict it to the center by... Can't really do that, though, because we only have lands to work with. And I can't have... Can I have the player lands avoid the center? No, not really. I could put a buggy land in the center. That wouldn't help, though. Cliffs would still avoid it. Okay, things clearly aren't hilly enough. Hmm. We're having this issue again that you can see it sort of vaguely on the minimap. Despite the fact that there's no bias towards the bottom of the map, there is a bias towards the bottom of the map still. Hmm. I don't know. I want a hill in the middle, but I also like the cliffs in the middle. Yeah, the alternative is... Hmm. Hmm. Ah, the hill's elevation is biased towards the bottom. It's always been. Alright, start random. Let's have some fun. I'll include both options. Percent chance 50. And random. Define option A. I mean, honestly, it's about cliffs, right? Cliffs A. Define cliffs B. And basically, A is what we're doing right now, and we'll say that if cliffs B do that. Right? And then we go, alright. DLC cracked. If cliffs B, else if cliffs A. Just have it both ways. What if I made some lands of the same zone, different terrains, gave each of them half the elevation? This would be possible. I mean, what I really want is, though, I want elevation. I want to make sure there's elevation in the center. But I don't want to put a land in the center because then the cliffs will avoid the land. I could, instead of creating player lands, I could create lands for each player and do 2 terrains for that. That's actually fairly clever. Like, that as an option would work, of course. So, we can keep these things, and now we're going to do here. If cliffs A, else if cliffs B, and if I mean, it's a bit silly that I'm doing this, but why not? We just chop off the extra 0 again. No, we don't care about the min-terrain distance. So cliffs B would be this. And then we don't need to do this if we have if cliffs A, then we need to do this. And now we basically have it both ways. This is the other version I had. This is the one where the cliffs prefer the center. but there are fewer hills. I mean, I think that's a fair trade-off, right? You have more cliffs in the center, but fewer hills. I think I'm willing to do that and have both options in there. Of course, we need to say for this Cliffs A option still, this requires some more work because the min terrain distance needs to be adjusted for every map size. Or maybe it doesn't. Although here we have a gigantic center now. Yeah, it does need to be adjusted. Before we even adjust it though, what we need to do here... 25, this needs to be whatever, like 30. $32, and then this can have bigger distance as well. I could place a big hill in the center. I could even place the central land with a base terrain, with a base elevation. I wanted the cliffs though. Okay, that was too much. I feel like this is still 12. Oh wait. I don't want this song. I mean, honestly, maybe 5, I just keep 5? What is the issue, though? What issue should I raise? That cliffs are difficult to control? I mean, the reality is like cliffs aren't a super fair aspect anyway in a map because the player who spawns in the north is more likely to have cliffs that gives them a height advantage. Like, the question is, what is the actual issue here? I'm not sure what issue one could report there. Is it always going to be a min-distance cliffs of 5? Min-terrain distance 5? Well, let's try the next size up. I mean, I think in general people just don't use cliffs that much in custom maps is the result of all of this. Okay, it seems I can just keep 5 in here for all of them. We'll do that for now. Uh, 38, let's do, 42. The next size up. As far as I know, no one has proposed any specific solutions for cliff placement. May have been mentioned that they're difficult to use because difficult to control, but I don't think there's been any real effort to do anything about it. I mean, I don't know if I want to do this and keep both options around, actually, but eh. I am currently supporting both cliff options here. Perhaps they're a bit too common now in this art size. Say like 50 for giant. I think I'm just going to have both options in, and then I'll later make a decision about what I actually want to keep here. Oh boy. I mean, no one actually plays on Ludicrous anyway. 90 was not a bad guess for this middle. Sure, we'll do this when we won't actually play it on Ludicrous, of course. So basically, we have the hills in the middle and the cliffs in the middle options. November? It's been a while. Okay, let's finish off this map so I can go to bed. So, we have Town Center, Villager, King. Looks good. Let's just do define regicide. Regicide. Just to check. The regicide looks nice. Castle is forward. Good enough. Undefined regicide. Redo whatever that is. Yeah. Okay. Let's check the resources in our example again. I wish it would sort last modified by default. I mean, that's probably the more useful one rather than alphabetical. I don't know. Maybe not. What are some on-grid objects that are invisible? Well, I personally use the dead fish trap usually for placing stuff that ends up deleting it anyway. Like, the dead fish trap, of course, is not invisible, but if you use it and then your second object is, like, a gold mine or a tree or a house or something that deletes a dead object underneath it, then you don't see it anyway. You can also give it a lifetime of 0. Another one is the terrain blocker. See if I have anything. The 1613, I believe, is the one. That one is actually invisible. You can give it 0 HP so it dies at the beginning of the game. Dead fish traps? Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, double check that, but in general, yeah. Let's dead fish. There we go. Temporary object grid, that'll do. You know, if we go here, Create object, temporary object grid. We'll place that for every player. Then we should see there's our dead fish trap, and it's placed on dirt terrain. And then if we do second object gold, I just saved everything. Probably fine. I don't want the save everything button here. This is actually not a nice one to have. Okay, second object gold doesn't work because I need to do set object only. Try that again. There we go, now we have a gold mine for each player. And if we want to make sure that they can be placed on rock terrain, then we just go well, I guess dirt 2 we would replace with rock. It's DLC rock, isn't it? There's our gold mine. It's on rock. So that works. A bias value to encourage cliffs to turn broadside towards the nearest player. That is fancy. I mean, currently you have the curliness, which is just a value to determine whether it turns at all or not. Turning towards the nearest player... I mean, it would be the nearest player land. Or you mean... I know what you mean. You mean, which way it faces. So that you have more uphill cliffs. I wonder why it's an issue, but I think it's just... I think you can never begin a cliff that faces uphill to start. Yeah, the Arabia, so Krazini uses a bunch of flags that have been modified to have 0 HP, so they die immediately. Plus you can see them on the map, they're not invisible when you're testing in here. Get our dirt terrain back. Okay, so... I mean, so for other placeholders, what do I use here? Nah, the dead fish trap is actually my graded one of choice, honestly. Well, some interesting ideas for glyphs. I guess it's also a question of how much they want to dig into existing code. And how easy it is actually to come up with, like... So that's the issue here, right, is that... Like, I can have a cliff that faces this way, but I cannot begin a cliff that faces... I cannot begin a cliff that faces the other way. So that's why cliffs are biased towards helping the player who's on the top of the map. I mean, we can always... If you want, an impassable terrain, what you do is you create a passable terrain and fill it with rock objects. That's Or, well, yeah, we fill it with something that makes it impassable. Like, that's an option that's available. Like, here I have a dead farm terrain that I put rocks onto, and they're impassable, so you can't get to the outside, right? Doesn't have to look bad. What's one I was thinking of? Let's see, world. Nope. World desert. Is that what I want? Is that actually the event? That's not the event I want, though, is it? No, I want... Oh, which one was it? RMS Cup 2? That's... yeah. Actually, is it actually enabled? Let's... Alright. Cup 2, it is enabled. Perfect. There we go. Alright. What did I want to show? I wanted to do... It's probably RMSG, yeah. Like here you can, you can restrict cliffs to a certain part of the map to make sort of like a rocky area that are avoiding the water in the middle. Border, I don't remember this one. Oh yeah, you can have it. You can have a strip of terrain that you place objects on that are impassable, or in this case, passable, but you have to destroy them. This one, no. Or you can have something like this, where you're creating custom cliffs with rock terrain, with rock objects. That can look quite nice. I actually had a couple in here. The more I look at these, and this is the one I was actually thinking of, where you can have a cliff top with a lot of rock objects. Like these are 2x2 or 3x3, but a lot of them are 1x1. Even the ones that look pretty big are actually 1x1 for the most part. Spiral, yeah, which one did we not look at? Do we look at border? We did. Do we look at... fractal, of course, wasn't. Yeah, from the objects. If we just take a look, I mean, you can use not heads. You can use haystacks if you really want to. Those will block players, but that doesn't look like cliffs. These are actually solid. Like that is a solid line of things that units can't pass through, of course. We don't want mountains. These are one tile rocks, actually. I mean, they're huge, but they're actually one tile each. So are these. These are one tile rocks. These are taller one tile rocks. Yeah, haystacks block. In the original game, they were also bigger. Like here, they're kind of small, but in AOC, they were massive. Took up the whole tile. These are actually, they're 3x3. These mega things. Alright. Enough distractions. Let's go back to what I was doing. Right, I was looking at the resources. So we were considering if I wanted to put some reed tree objects around players. Could do. I'll make a note of that as a potential thing to do. Reed tree objects. Alright. Then we want... Let's just make a big comment here. 4 plus 2 plus 2 goats. Then we'll say 6 straggler reeds. What is going on here? We don't want this type of business. Alright. How do I do this? There we go. Having cliffs somehow tied to elevation would definitely be interesting and make a lot of sense. I'm not sure how one would actually implement it in practice, but there's definitely some logic to that would make a lot of sense to me. Alright. Then we have 3, let's say 5. We have berries, not even like that. We more have... how do I best describe this? It's essentially 3 plus 2. Let's see how the other player had it. 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2. I don't also have to follow this exactly, but it's more like guidelines anyway. Then we have 5 stone. 3 times 2, or 2 times 3 golds. I'd say that's what's near the players. I see a boar. I only see 1 boar. Okay. 1 boar. I'd say the relics, even the golds, are honestly... Alright, golds towards center. Then I'd say another 3 tile stone towards the center. Good. Then we have like 1 boar and a group of 4 antelopes. What are these? Gazelles. Boar, 4 gazelles. Good. That's pretty much what we have in the way of player resources. Then we have 1, 2, 3. We have 6 relics here. 6 relics. And the middle can just have a bunch of gold. A bunch of 5 tile golds, 4 tile stones. Middle. Tile stones. Then sort of neutral, we have neutral 2x2 gold. Plus 3 stone. Plus 4 gazelle. And all of this is 2 times 2 times. There we go. Something like that. That is everything that's on this here. Let's see if we can implement that stuff. Oh, we still have our temporary gold. Do we? Save changes. Temporary gold is gone. Good. Do we add the object wood lines? I think we do. I think we actually do that. Which means that then I want to keep the reed forests like 25 or something away from players. Did I? No, I said mangrove. That's not the one I want to do. These. And then I'll give each player like 2 clustered woodlines. The question is, what do I give them first? After I've given them the bare essentials. I think we do the woodlines. Create object. The reed tree isn't defined, is it? Reed tree. Reed tree. I think it's not defined by default, right? I think it's not. Sources 1350 after defining myself. Read tree 1350. Create object, read tree. Alright, we want to set place for every player. We want to set Gaia object only. Checked. Checked. Only. You want to do number of objects quite a few, like 45. Set loose grouping. Group placement radius 6, and then min distance to players like 12. Set circular placement, and I'll want to find closest as well. Let's try that. See if that gives us a convincing wood line. Pretty close to players. Somehow. Alright. Oh, let's see. What's the default for how far away set avoid player start areas actually is? Defaults to 13. So let's do like 14. It's the center of the circle though is that far away. Okay, let's do, we're doing a radius of 6, and we want 13 plus 3 is 16. We'll do 16 now. And then what we actually want to do is do number of groups to, like, if we could place wood lines as objects and have them, you know, visible on the minimap and not lameable, that would be a massive boon. To have consistent forests. I'm gonna do it. Temp min distance group placement. Probably want to do this even before like I just wish this would be visible on the minimap. I also don't really want them forward. I don't like the fact that it's sort of like a semicircle either. We'll deal with that though in a bit. We're gonna do terrain to place on. Terrain to place on. Dirt 2. We're gonna do void forest zone. Zone 5. Now, do we get them? Okay, we've. Then that just squishes it. Fine, we'll skip the avoid forest zone. How about min distance to map edge 5? That's kind of what I want. I also don't like this weird semicircle with dots below it. We'll have to deal with that. I don't really want it touching wood lines. Two. Well, I think the solution there is to make proper wood lines stay further away. We said 25 for these. What if we said like 18 for these? Okay, now how do we deal with these semicircle mess things? If I did 450 objects, what would it look like? Then we have a... That is interesting. I thought the group placement radius was a square, not a circle. That's fascinating. Isn't group placement... I wonder if the circle placement is doing this. Set tight. We need to do some testing here. So if I do tight grouping... Ah, yeah, that's what I was expecting. Fascinating. Fascinating. Well, the more you know. And it doesn't have anything to do with circular placement, presumably not. It's just the loose grouping. Oh, that is fascinating. So, circular placement combined with loose grouping means that the group placement radius becomes a circle. That is interesting. Like, that's an actual new discovery. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. Sir... This is fascinating. It doesn't immediately lend itself to any direct applications. I mean, you could have a round clump of gold or something, I guess. Oh, if I had known this! Man, there are definitely cases when this is useful. Alright, if we do a smaller number, then we have to shrink the radius. Yeah, then it does the weird thingy. What if we do a radius of 3? I wonder where this could be useful. I mean, you could certainly make like a nicely this-shaped pile of resources. Then on the other hand, this is a lot of gold to put in one spot. It's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, like 14 gold, isn't it? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13? 13 gold. Well, this is once again a tangent, but I mean... Make cute plus-shaped gold! What else could this be used for? I mean, something sheep? Sure, but doesn't really matter. You could do it, you could have round wood lines, which is what I'm going to use it for. You could do this for gold. You could, let's say you want to look for berries. Like usually you would have like 7, or 6 or 7 berries, or 5 to 7. I guess most resources that you'd place would be in such a small group anyway that it doesn't matter. I feel like there is use for this. Don't know. Alright, let's keep it with the gold. I want to do more testing. This is too good to pass up. We've got our circle, right? It requires circular placement, loose grouping. Does it require find closest? Nope. I feel like there's a use case for this. Having a nice circular amount of resources without... I think it gives us a deeper insight into either what this circular placement or what the loose grouping is doing. I'm trying to brainstorm ways that this could be used in a real map. Hmm. Hmm. I don't really want this orientation for it, though. And that's just slicing off the bottom of this thing and not changing the orientation. Can I guarantee that it's placed on the side? Find closest to map edge. Avoid map. Is there an avoid map center? No, right? I could make an actor area in the center. And say that it has to avoid that. I could also say screw it and just leave it as is. Like if I did whatever 15 or something, what happens then? Then we've reorganized their positions. But we also end up with ones that are sliced in half sometimes. Thanks for joining. Hope you found it interesting. I'll be finishing up soon, I just need to research these round things that I managed to produce. Alright. I think we don't do avoiding the map edge by that much. 3. And then we do a small group of objects. They still cluster towards one side. Make the radius bigger as well. Fascinating discovery, though. Read tree. There we go. Okay. Alright, that works, that works. Let's just copy some standard resources for a lot of this stuff now. Oh, song. Aquarium? Yeah, sure. Let's use. We will scroll. That's all for the corners. Relics we'll deal with later. We can deal with the forage. We'll do forage bushes first. Forage. And we wanted 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 bushes. What I actually need there is like an actor area, right? We need like, three forage bushes. That. Fine. All of that is fine. That would just create a single set of forage bushes to begin with. Okay. I think the second set of reed trees needs to stay further away than the first one. What if I just do like 60? Shouldn't we see something happening here? Yeah, that does something, so... I mean, given that they're min distance 16 to players and they're on both sides, actually 30 makes a lot of sense that we need more than 30 to really see anything good. So we have our 3 bushes, and they should be paired with a 2 bush. So in that case, we need to do like actor area. We'll start with we'll start with 201 area radius 5. Then we place the other set of forage bushes into the first one. So it's 2. Let me just do... We just skip all of this stuff. We do like 1 here, or 2 here, 4 here. Actor area to place in. Actor area to place in 201. Yeah, so now we have a group of 3 and 2 forage bushes. And then we want a 3 and a 2 group separate from that. Something like that, except now the other group actor area 202 actor area radius 12. So we want to avoid actor area 202. This should keep the bushes suitably separated. Did I save changes? I did. This one also needs a distance of players. Back here, there we go. I mean, more it's actually just like, it's like 2 groups of 3 and 2, to be honest, is actually what we've got going on here. Okay, okay. In that case, we do it a bit differently. Skip all this business. We just do number of groups 2. Same thing here. I don't expect this to work quite yet. I think we need one more step then, but we'll try it now. Okay, kind of close to each other. We need a temp and this 15. Fine, and then we don't want both of the 2 groups and the 3 groups, so we do the same thing here. Okay. Good. We need goats. Or we can actually just... Okay, we'll deal with the goats afterwards, actually. We want 5 stone. Create object stone. 5, radius 2. I'll just grab the proper stone code here. 5, 2, take grouping, 9, 14, sure. Access to other zones we don't need. Avoid. Oh, we don't want 2 groups. You want to avoid actor area 202, and we want terrain to place on dirt 2. We kind of don't want it forward either. I think it's okay, though. Okay, 2 times 3 gold towards the center. We're gonna go here again and say, alright. This one should be easy to do. Gold 3, number of groups 2. Set place for every player. Find closest. Don't care about that. And terrain to place on. DLC. Correct. We could even place them before the stone, and then have the stone avoid them to prevent the stone from being forward. That's a decent idea. But then, well, maybe we just leave things the way they are. We want 3 stone in the center. Don't need that. We want layer to place on. Layer to place on. Dirt mud. Yeah. Stone, there we go. Okay, yeah, we do want this gold actually to avoid. Like this. Actor area 203. Radius 18. Avoid area 203. Yeah, that's how we keep the gold from being too, or the stone from being too close, yeah. Good, good, good. Alright, so now let's place the 1 boar. One place for every player. We want it on dirt. Sure, that'll do. And we want our goats. DLC goat. DLC goat. This keeps them out of the center, that's good. Don't care about the max distance to other zones. We do want to avoid forest zone. Yeah, kind of something like that. Looks pretty good. And then we want goats. Goats, we did boar, we can do the gazelles. Apparently I don't have deer on that map. Maybe not. Apparently I don't have deer on that map. Okay. Fine. DLC, it's probably just gazelle. Of objects 4, number of groups 1. Loose grouping. It's a place for every player. We want something like that. We actually want them a bit further away though. We're gonna do like 19 to 23. Let's look at our example again. Yeah, the goats are actually super close, even the secondary ones on this map. The gazelles are kind of far out. Yeah. So I think we can go to where I'm placing the other goats here. And just go like, not 18 to 23, but like 12 to 16. And reduce that as well. Well, the gazelle, 19 to 23, we can probably go 20 to 24. Goats can be even much closer to the players. At 16. There we go, that should fix that one right up. Ten to 14 even. Reduce the min-distance group placement to 1. Or even just get rid of it. Okay, that's a bit close. We don't need this one, but 10 to 14, do we try that? I feel like that's kinda too close. 11 to 15. Sure, that we can tolerate that. Deer even further out, so they're not so easy to push. Okay, cool. Now we have our center. think we do 100% Cliffs A. It's just the better one. Right, we need the neutral resources now, I believe. What did I note down for these? Oh, we need straggler reeds. So we just do something like this. Reed tree. We want 6. Number of objects 6. Set place for every player. Set guy object only. Min distance group placement 1, fine. 10 minutes distance group placement 2, fine. Min distance to players 8. 7. Find closest. Set circular placement. Sure, that'll do. All right. All right, let's do the center. There we go. Okay. Can we copy some relic code? Oh, I need a good map for that. Where am I going to copy it from? Barrier Reef, Antarctica. No, no, no. Canberra, Circle Arena. Deadwood. I mean, honestly, just yeah, sure. Deadwood will do. Oh. Yeah, but Relic. Access to the other zones we don't care about. Distance to players. We will keep that in. Objects 6. $15, 18, 18. 22, 24, 45. Because we also want to place them. We do have 2 options. I think we want to place them on the DLC Cracked. Terrain to place on DLC Cracked, right? I think that's kind of what we want to do. There we go, got our 6 relics. Yeah, that's perfect. That'll work nicely. 6. do like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 909. That'll do. 4, 28, something like that. I'll do scaling to other sizes we can do later. Good. Then we need neutral res. Create object gold. Number of objects. Number of objects. 5. Number of groups. 9,320. 20. Set type grouping. Group placement radius 2. Terrain to place on. Terrain to place on dirt. Dirt. Mud. Temp min distance group placement 10. And min distance group placement 4. Add a lot of gold, but kind of what we want as well, I think. Yeah, it's basically what we want. Here in the middle, realistically, we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 piles. So in my one, we should strive to have that as a target amount as well. We have a bit too many, to be perfectly honest. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that'll do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's increase this to 13. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's about what we want. 2, 3, 4, 5. Fine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Then we do the same thing for gold. We want groups of 4. A stone, I meant. We probably want them even further apart. 1, 2, 3, that's... I think we want this... Do we want this stuff to avoid the cliffs, or did I say, ah, screw it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's lower this amount a bit. Yeah, we have something like that. I think it's fine. And then we want neutral res. You know what this map is missing? Straggler trees. And birds. stragglers, birds. And it also doesn't have wolves, actually. Alright, we want deer, but we're also going to want gold and stone. We'll start with the gold. We want 2 objects, 4 groups, set scale. You want to scale by player number or map size? Probably map size. Set scaling to map size is what we want here. There's 2. Group placement radius 2. Probably do something like 25 here. We want to have an avoid forest zone. So number of objects 2, number of groups 4. Scaling to map size, tight grouping. We don't care about the group placement radius. Might have to deal with the scaling. Good. Then we want a min distance to players of like 40. Something along those lines is what we want for the gold. We'll deal with the deer later. Yeah, so we have sort of our neutral gold piles, 1, 2, 3. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, fine, like that works. And we do the same thing for stone. Three, but only 2 groups of it. Much further apart. We have 1 neutral thing there, and I don't think the second one managed to spawn. I guess it's this one here, actually, is the second one. This stuff should also, we should actually have it avoiding the cliff zone. Avoid cliff zone. Because we don't want it in the center. Cool. Same thing here, we want guide Gazelle. 4 objects, 2 groups, loose grouping. Water zone, we don't really need to avoid cliff zone. Okay, we want... We do want them spread out even further, though, so that we don't have this situation happening where they're both... Could I do 60 and get away with that? Try that. I could also place them as player objects. Then there's the risk that they both end up on the same side, though, I suppose. Alright, I think what we're gonna do is go back to 45. We're gonna have 3 groups of 3. And perhaps also for the stone, do the 3 groups of 3 model and, you know, 3 groups of 2. One, two, three. I think I want to do it like that. Maybe we don't need straggler trees after all. No, we're gonna have straggler trees. Create object. Dragon tree. DLC dragon tree. Dragon tree. Rose 10 diamonds. Release 1. 12. Avoid force on 2. Terrain to place on. Terrain to place on. Dirt 2. And then read tray. I think the neutral resources need to stay further from the players. They're not behind the players ever. We don't want that. Okay. And since it's something like this, let's do... The vulture isn't defined, is it? I kind of want a vulture here, though, I think. Where are the birds? Birds. DLC vulture. Alright, now I can do DLC vulture. DLC vulture. So there we go. We've created this map based on this scenario. I mean, doesn't look exactly the same, but I think we could be quite happy with what we achieved. Just boot it up in skirmish once for fun. You can also hide the code here since we're... Go. Why do we have a farm already? Oh, it's Khmer. Still though, isn't that a bit early to be farming? No. Alright, I think that was a pretty good success. The relic is showing the armor, interesting.
See?
The vultures are swarming. Alright, I think this map has turned out quite well. Thanks for everyone who joined and might still be here at this point. And also, thanks to anyone who goes back and watches the VOD later. I hope you enjoyed this. I will probably be streaming... Let me just pause this. I'll probably be streaming some more in the coming days to complete the other maps on the list. But for now, that was all for today. Thanks for joining. I'm going to stop the stream now.